5-time world champion, current world number 1 and ratings all exceeding 2,800. This man needs no introduction. I am of course talking about Magnus Carlsen. And I crushed him. So I'm playing a white against Magnus Carlsen. I start out with d4, and Magnus makes a mistake on move 3 with knight f6, allowing me to push in the center with e5. I force his knight to b6, and I kind of don't see the move that I should have played. Play knight c3, I probably should have played c5 instead, attacking the knight, kicking it around, because telling Magnus to get his knight out of the place, he never should have developed it to f6. So I go knight c3, he goes d6, challenging my center. I trade, and then e d6 is a mistake from Magnus again, because it opens this diagonal, allowing me to go bishop g5, and baiting him into going f6, and then I can go back defending my center, and meanwhile his dark squared bishop, which is supposed to be a monster on the diagonal, is actually blocked out by this f6 pawn. Instead, I go bishop e2 instead, just preparing short castle. We both castle, and then he goes bishop g4. I see that black wants to take and then win this pawn on c4, so I solidify with b3. He develops his knight. I develop my bishop, solidifying the center and making sure that this d4 pawn cannot be captured. And right now, I enjoy a comfortable center and a comfortable advantage against world champion Magnus Carlsen with a 3,200 rating. He goes rook e8, and I go h3, kicking out Magnus's bishop. We trade, and then he goes rook b8. Not exactly sure, but perhaps he saw something along this diagonal. I just go queen d2, preparing something against the h6 diagonal, and also connecting my rooks. He goes knight e7, preparing to reroute to f5, which is probably why I should have gone bishop g5 to pin it, but instead I just move my rook to d1, allowing him to get into f5. Then we have a couple of trades, and then Magnus makes the blunder, queen e8, allowing me to pick a pawn after this combination, where the rook is forced off the defense of this b7 pawn. I can simply take it with my bishop. And now I'm a pawn up and Magnus in an endgame. But the thing is, Magnus is known to be an endgame master, so this is not going to be easy. I go knight b5, hopping my knight in, and attacking the d6 pawn, and as well the a7 pawn. He attacks my bishop, I move it back, a6, I decide to take on c5. If he takes my knight, I take his, and then I jump my knight into d6, just like I'd planned. Now I trade rooks, and now I'm sure that I can win with my extra pawn advantage, although if we trade these knights, we will have opposite colored bishops, which is commonly known to be a draw, even if you're a pawn. So I slowly advance my pawns, I maneuver my knight, and now something crazy happens. Stockfish says it's a draw, but Magnus Carlsen, probably in time pressure, because we were getting pretty low on the clocks, it was like a blitz game or a bullet game, I forgot. So it was really close, and I thought maybe I had a draw, which is basically a win for me against Magnus Carlsen. And suddenly Magnus plays knight a2. He was hoping to get a draw by just repeating his knight like this, and he accidentally went to a2, which allows me to pick up a knight for free. Magnus Carlsen blundered his knight against me, and now it's basically a one game. There's no way I can mess this up, and I didn't, and Magnus lost because his time ran out, plus I was also up a bishop, and I beat world champion, or rather former world champion, Magnus Carlsen.